spread a little aloha around the world at Breakfast with Bob.
Thank you, Poncho Man. Welcome back, everybody. Breakfast with Bob, our Kona edition. My name is Bob Babbitt, and we are brought to you by Master Spas as Fuel's Right Fuel, Right Time, Hoka Fly Human Fly, DeWara Wetsuits, Quintana Roo, and of course, our Challenged Athletes Foundation. We just raised at our gala in New York $2.4 million, a phenomenal evening for CAF. Our next guest, I don't know, 2021 Olympian, two-time Ironman 70.3 world champion, Ironman world champion, Mr. Gustav Iden joins us. Gustav, how are you?
It's all good here from Flagstaff.
Yeah. I was telling Christian that they're not relatives of mine, but there's a ton of Babbitts in Flagstaff. There's all these buildings. So anytime I go there.
Yeah, I've seen it downtown. It's Babbitt.
Anytime I go there, I like go to the golf course or something. I get pretty good tee times. My last name is Babbitt. Oh, you related to Governor? Yes, I am. So this last couple of years have been tough. Losing mom, and you're so young to lose your mom. How for you? How long do you think it took before you were back to being yourself?
Difficult question. I guess it's not about getting back to my old self. I would say it's more like finding a new self in one way. Yes. And I'm still not back to like performance that I was 2 years ago in Hawaii. But I'm getting there. Last week was actually the week I have been running the most over a year. So it's a long process of getting back to high performance. I don't think I realized how good I used to be until I'm trying to get back to where I have been before, because the level in long distance triathlon and short distance, it's truly insane. And stepping away for a bit and then trying to come back, it's been a challenge.
I was telling Christian that, when you look at the splits that people are doing, and everybody is, everybody's swimming in the 40s, and they're riding 403, 404, 405, and then they're getting off the bike and running 235. You're going, this is so dear. There's so many names that I don't know, that I have, I'm looking at the results. I'm like, oh my God, these guys would be the overwhelming favorite a few years ago.
Yeah.
And it seems like, and they're all starting when they're 20, 21, 22, rather than it used to be people came into the sport, into long distance when they're 27, 28, 29.
Yeah. So, the level is, it's insane. And I guess you have, of course, some favorites that are ready to win in Kona, but you have so many people that can shock you.
Absolutely. Yeah, you look at Magnus Dietlef, and obviously, Sam Laidlaw is a defending champion from Nice and was second to you 2 years ago. When you look back at that race, and obviously you had won 70.3 worlds, and people were looking at you as one of the favorites. Did you look at yourself as one of the favorites? Were you thinking, this is my day?
For sure. Yeah. I had some good tactics going on, and I knew that training was going well. And of course, I've been training with Christian, and I know how strong he was. But I looked at it that it was going to be between me and him. Of course, I was a bit surprised by how well Sam Laidlow was running, and still now running even better than back then. But I did look at myself as the favorite, especially with all the new technology we were developing for the race, and all the little tricks we tried to do to be the favorites. So it's not as easy this year around. I think a lot of people have learned a few tricks, especially when it comes to preparation for heat and the caloric intake. So it's going to be tougher and tougher, and that's one of the issues with being quite open with what we're doing. People are learning, but I think it's good for the sport that we help people evolve into a new dimension of triathlon.
It's funny you mentioned that, because back in the day, a lot of the runners here in the US, they had their own little private camps, and nobody was sharing information and what they were doing. And then finally they all realized, you know what, I'm putting it out that I'm running 120 miles a week, and this is what I'm doing, because if someone could do it, more power to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to, because at the end of the day, everybody improves. You know,
Yeah,
steel sharpens steel, which is what you and Christian do together.
for sure.
Talk a little bit about just training with Christian on a day-to-day basis and knowing, okay, this guy just, he just went to the Olympics, and coming off the Olympics, he broke the course record at Frankfurt with not a lot of long distance training, and you would know more than anybody. He was not on the TT bike very much. What do you take away from what Christian did in Frankfurt?
Um, I think sadly Frankfurt was a confirmation that he was in great shape, but wrongly tuned for what was the overwhelming highlight of the year, or was supposed to be the Olympics.
Right.
I mean, that's what we have been training for. And obviously, I wasn't in the fight for the last bit, but I did train quite a bit with him. And it's a bit annoying for both me and him to see how well he performed in Frankfurt, because then we know that it was not his general shape that was bad. He was just not rightly tuned for the Paris Olympic Games. So a lot of people congratulate both me actually and Christian for the race. But yeah, both me and him were a bit pissed. Yeah, Frankfurt was not the race where he's going to win. That was supposed to be Paris, but it is what it is. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's better to win there than not win anything at all.
I just think that going into Paris this year, there's no way that Alex Yee or Hayden Wild, they were going to attack all day on the bike and just hope that they get some sort of gap, because you don't want Christian anywhere in the same ballpark as you with 1K to go and have him do what he did, in 2021 in Tokyo.
Yeah, and looking at the race, it seems like it was a much tougher course than most people expected, and especially with that swim in Paris. I think a lot of people were pretty drained when the run started, and you also see that on the run splits of the day, that it was not those insane run splits that we expected to see in Paris, and it was more like a struggler's race, which normally would suit Christian quite well, but yeah, he just didn't have the day.
So what I've seen from Christian a number of times, and you must see it in training, is he'll have a bad stretch where he's puking or he's got a stitch, and then it's like no big deal. He just starts running really fast again. I mean, most normal people, when you're puking, you're pretty much done. You're not running faster than you were before you were puking. Does that, you see that in training as well?
Yeah, actually, we saw it yesterday. We had a pretty tough day with some threshold intervals on the bike, and then straight into a hard run down in Sedona. I mean, it's not the humid heat that we have in Kona, but it's still super warm. And we are both struggling big time, but he has a ability to turn things around. So even when he looks cooked, he still have more to push somewhere. I don't know where he's taking it from, but somewhere it is a reserve.
So when you go into this race, looking back 2 years and going, okay, I was in the probably best shape of your life when you won that race. No question about it. You go in this year, what are the expectations?
I think if I can do a top 5, I should be reasonably pleased. It's hard to estimate performance on a day, but to be honest, I would be surprised if I am within 10 minutes of my run. Yeah, 10 minutes slower. So yeah, but the luxury of this race then, at least for myself, is that I don't have to race for the win. In 22, I absolutely felt like the win was what needed, and I had to make sure that I was somehow within the ability to run Laidlow down. This year, when I'm aiming for a top 5, I can be a bit more free on the bike. I don't have to answer on every surge. I have the option to kind of stay in the pack more, which can make for a fast run race if I'm more relaxed. But I think a podium will be a bit too difficult. But Kona is a magical island. It's so much history, and I won there before, so I don't want to write myself completely off. And also, I have been working quite a lot on my aerodynamics on the bike, and I think I found quite a lot of minutes there already only on aerodynamics. So Yeah, it's going to be actually really, really exciting. In 22, even though I have never raced on Kona before and it was second ever Ironman, I still was more confident on my performance going in than now, where I'm supposed to be more of a veteran in the sport. But this year I'm actually much more unsure of how my fitness is.
I think when you look at your history and, winning 70.3 worlds in Nice when nobody was thinking you're going to do that,
Except
winning,
me.
except for you, exactly, except riding the road bike, and then Daytona, where people were like, okay, everybody, Alistair Brownlee, we got all these legends here. And oh, by the way, there's that guy from, there's the kid from Norway with the funny hat. And
Yeah.
but you tend to, I think you thrive on the fact, let people count you out. Let people think Gustav's not going to be a factor, because then it allows you to just relax and enjoy it and mix it up with people.
Yeah. I feel like I have some external pressure for most races, maybe not now where I've been away for top performers for a while. The number one pressure has always been for myself. And right. I always get super nervous before a race, and especially nervous when I know I have a great chance of winning, because then I know the only thing that's between me and a victory is some stupid mistakes. And to lose a race because of mistakes, it's tough on the mind, and it's heartbreaking. So I will say I'm a bit more loose. Yes. Going into this race, a bit more relaxed, and I think the nerves will also be a bit more calm.
So when you're coming out of the energy lab a couple of years ago, you're with Christian, and it's not like Sam's coming back. Nobody thought Sam was going to run the way Sam ran.
Yeah.
What's going through your mind? Because you're there to win. It's not like you're there to be on the podium. As Christian told me years ago, when you're from Norway, getting 5th, 6th, 7th in Norway where everybody has an Olympic medal, if they're winter sport person, that means nothing, right? Oh yeah, you were on the podium. Okay, my mom's got one of those. So for you, that's a fair amount of pressure. It's like, I've got to go get that guy who's not slowing down. We were hoping he'd slow down, but he's not. How did you turn that around, and what was the mindset to go, I got to run Sam down, and I've got to do it now. I'm running out of time.
Yeah. So being behind, you have the luxury of always going by time gaps. And we got the time gaps all the time. We had constantly updates from spectators and friends along the course. So we were pretty certain on how far ahead he was. And you start to do the math and thinking, okay, now it's 20K left and you still have over 4 minutes up to him. So you realize that it's going to be a massive effort. But in my head, I also always had the ambition to run fast from energy lap and back to the finish. So I still had some belief in me and was trying to remain calm all the way out of energy lab, because I wanted to stay true to my tactics, even though in Ironman you always have to be dynamic and react to the group. But I wanted to just stay with my tactics. And when I first put the gas down on the top of Queen K and on the way back and taking minutes just in a few K, I knew that it was going to be okay in the end.
It was cool the way you guys sort of congratulated each other. Obviously, Sam did everything right and got second place, and you did,
which is a great performance on island.
Absolutely. Anytime you get silver medal, I mean, he was over the moon. What's interesting to me is the fact that you've been doing some training up at Sedona. I remember a few years ago when Daniela Reef went up there before St. George, and after getting disqualified from Oceanside, and everybody, she's done. Her career's over, and she goes to Sedona, very similar to St. George, trains her butt off, and goes and wins her 5th Ironman World Championship. Nobody was thinking she was going to do that. It's being in Flagstaff, being in Sedona, you're sort of a little bit off the grid. You can just focus on you and enjoy the buildup and enjoy the race day.
Yeah, and it's somewhat it's hard to stay in touch with those home because of the time zone, which also makes it easier to be in your own little bubble here.
Yeah.
So it's only me, Christian, and we're lucky enough to have a chef with us who is a great friend and can join some of the easy sessions. And it's just us three really grinding up here and pushing the limits of what we can do in training and just having a great time doing it. So Flagstaff is an amazing place to train. And we're training with a local legend, Matt McElroy, as well. And yeah, we're
Oh,
having
Mac, I didn't know Mac was there. That's awesome.
yeah. So we have a great little group here.
That's cool. One of our buddies, this 204.58 marathoner, Ryan Hall, lives in that area as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. How did your life change winning Ironman World Championship? It's when you win a 70.3 Worlds, it's great, but there's just something different about winning World Championship in Kona.
Yeah, I think my life has been a steady evolution. I didn't feel like a major change happened when I won in Kona. I felt a more life-changing race win was in Nice, just because before that I obviously have won a few races, and I mean I podium in a World Series, but it was not the same as the both in terms of sponsors and attention, and everything changed in Nice. And since then, it's just been I felt like a steady rise in interest and everything. So I've been lucky enough to have control over my own self-image in some way. So I didn't go completely crazy after Kona and thinking that I am, even though I am the best in the world, I don't think I am the best in the world in one way. So I've been lucky enough to be grounded by my teammates, and especially by Christian in the day-to-day training. Even though I just won Kona, I was soon humbled when we tried again in St. George, and I had to pull out because of sickness. So yeah, I feel like I'm still the same that I used to be.
So after this race, do you go and try to get your third 70.3 Worlds, or are you not thinking that far ahead?
Yeah, I'm pretty certain I will race in Taupo. So my season started pretty late, so I don't feel like I'm drained from a long season, and I still feel like I have a lot of things to improve on, and getting ready for a race is one of the best ways to stay motivated. So I'm pretty certain I will race there, but I'm not I wouldn't say 100% yet.
So your team obviously looks at everything. And when Christian did what he did in Frankfurt, were they surprised? Were they like, oh, because he's been doing primarily just short, and doing some 70.3s and some, T100 things, but he certainly didn't do the buildup that you guys did for Kona or any of the other races. How did the team come away from Frankfurt?
Yeah, obviously triathlon is still a pretty young sport compared to a lot of other sports, and as you can see, the level is rising. Yeah, especially the last 5 years, it's been a crazy rise in long distance triathlon. So it's no surprise that there are still a lot of things to learn, and we did also learn a lot of things from Frankfurt, even though we are maybe the ones who had the most data from training from everyone or anyone, like no matter what sports. And for us to still keep on learning, it is pretty, it's pretty interesting to see.
I love it.
So I don't want to say too much of what we learned yet, but we have adjusted a little bit our preparation for Kona this year compared to 2022. I would like to be able to run more, obviously, but with my recent injury with my Achilles, I'm still not running at 100%. So even though we did learn a lot of things, it's not easy for me to implement those things, because that would require also a higher level of training. So it's a bit annoying to know that you could have trained better if you are better. But I guess that's sport for you. You can't always do what you want.
Well, and it is Karen Smyers won the 1995 Ironman, and she always had a great line that I love. She said, it's better to be 10% undertrained than 1% overtrained.
Yeah.
And when you look at Tim O'Donnell in 2019, he hadn't run in a couple of months because of his ankle or his foot, and he got second place. So sometimes being rested and not being able to do the running you want to do, that's not a bad thing come race day.
Yeah, we'll see.
I love it.
Maybe I have to stop training for the next for Nice then. just be
Exactly.
well rested for a year and then see how it goes.
Gustav, thank you for being so generous with your time. Really, really appreciate everything you guys have done. You guys have heightened the awareness for the sport in a part of the world that really didn't know a heck of a lot about the sport of triathlon. So keep being great, my friend. And thank you again for your time. We'll see you in Kona.
See you in Kona. Thank you.
Gustav Iden has been our guest, everybody. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. See ya.